going to lose her ranch out in West Cliff, and her biker friends come together and help her and support her and raise enough money that she can save the farm, so to speak. And I know Curtis had told me that this really does happen. He was telling me how many instances that people have come together and raised money to help one of your own, but in times of need. So that's what this film was about.
So it was kind of a fun deal, and appreciate all of you that come out and helped to do it. I had some fun with it. I didn't know, I was actually supposed to be out in the country, not just out of town. So it was kind of neat that I got to be a part of it. I wasn't in love at first with being the bad guy. I wanted to be the good guy, but it was kind of fun, I have to tell you. I enjoyed it, and nice to see the footage. But some things that I learned in doing this film is that I learned how to do the same thing like 20 times and not sure why you had to do it 20 times. That was an interesting thing, because it seems like you were doing it, just doing the exact same thing over and over again. But, I just did what I was told. I'm good at doing that. I learned that snow is very cold to stand in, even if that's where you're supposed to stand. It's not much fun to stand in snow. It was a lot of fun. But when I was thinking about the experience and kind of what meant the most to me, it really didn't have much to do with the camera. It didn't have much to do with the lines and what I thought of the story, but I got to meet some really neat people. And that's what I enjoyed the most. I'm kind of a people person, and I got to meet people that I would have I don't think that Vic and I would have probably ever crossed paths and even noticed each other. Maybe when I'm out in LA in the spring, I would have seen you and we would have scowled at each other or something, or who knows. But don't think I would have run across you or anybody else. So it was that's what meant a lot to me, was the fact that I got to meet some people I would have never known. Closer to home, I got to meet the camera guy, or what is your director of photography? Is that right, or something like that? Yeah. Got to meet Tim, and here we live in the same town. I don't know if we would have ever. I mean, maybe if we were at the same Walmart or something, we'd have said, "Oh, nice beard." I'm jealous. Mine won't grow that long. This is all that I get, but you could probably grow it down to your belt buckle if you wanted to. Is that? But got to meet him, and to tell you the truth, when I first learned about this whole film project and everything, the only reason I was interested in it at all is because I knew Zach would learn a lot. That was my big thing. I thought, wow, maybe this is something that he could be a part of. And if you saw the poster, it's going to be premiering in April, early April. So, and I asked Vic when I'll know if I'm up for an Oscar, and he was thinking that's sometime in March. I'll hear if I have a hope at that. So let's all keep our fingers crossed. It is my first experience, but you've got to think big. You've got to aim high. That's what I say. But anyway, someone that I got to meet, and no offense to any of the rest of you that I got to meet, I really did enjoy meeting you. I wasn't saying that, but my favorite guy I got to meet isn't here tonight. I don't think Alex isn't here, is he? No, he's not. No. But he was the one I was really excited about meeting, because he does something that I've always been interested in. He's a blacksmith. And so of all the memories and everything else I got to take away from being in this film, I got to take away something to me that's off the chart cool. And I know if you were there on Saturday and I didn't show you this thing, believe me, it was a mere oversight, because I was showing this to anybody who would pause more than 30 seconds. I would whip this thing out and have to show it to you. And I don't know if you haven't seen, well, I know you guys know, but if you haven't seen this thing yet, isn't it? See, thank you. Yeah. Oh, no, you weren't there. Anybody else? If you can't make out, I know you've already all seen it. If you can't make out what this is, it's a knife that's made out of a railroad spike. And when I found out that Alex was a true blue, you guys saw it, right? Was a true blue bona fide blacksmith. This was one of the things that I asked him about. I said, man, have you ever seen, do you make knives out of railroad spikes? And he said, yeah, and I described to him what my dream knife would be, and the next day he like showed up with it. And I was just so excited. And I mean, I'm ruined. I never want to carry a store-bought knife again. I've already talked to him, and we had like a tentative, I think of it as a play date. I don't know what he thinks of it as, but we have a tentative, like I said, play date set up where I'm going to take him one of my old motorcycle chains, and we're going to make a knife, and we're going to hammer a knife out of that, and he's going to let me swing the hammer, you know. And so I was really excited about this knife, and it's definitely one of my prized possessions. And I asked him a little bit about it, and he told me where he found the spike, and I can't remember exactly where he said, but it was right here in town, underneath an old railroad bridge. And I don't know enough about spikes or anything to know for sure, but the end of it's got some lines on it, and then there's a number 6 and or 9. It doesn't have a line under it, so I'm not sure. But it looks like it's something that had laid there for a long time. And I believe that probably Alex wasn't the first one to have laid eyes on this thing. In fact, I think that probably most everybody that ever walked by this spike as it was laying there on the ground, all they saw was an old rusty spike. Very few people probably even contemplated picking it up. Maybe some of them did, but thought, well, I don't want to carry it around all day until I get home. But there was one guy, when he saw that rusty spike laying there, he saw more. And to him, it wasn't just a spike. To him, it wasn't something that, I mean, really, this is discarded. I don't know. Are there any railroad guys here? Anybody work for the railroad? I don't think they reuse spikes, do they? You know? I mean, like once it works its way out of the track. I don't know if you've ever walked along railroad tracks before. Has anybody ever done that? These spikes are laying around everywhere. You look at the rail and there's like, you're going, what in the world is holding this thing down? And these trains, which weigh billions of tons, are rolling down there, and you're like, the rail just stays there because it wants to, because the spikes, they just work their way out. They'll be sticking up out of the tie this far. And there have been times when I've been tempted to pick up a rock and try and drive it back down because it just seems like a basic maintenance issue. But these things are everywhere. But for most of us, I mean, you could go pick up a whole bucket full of these things, and what are they good for to us? Nothing. You can maybe you can lay it on your mantle or something and think it would look cool. Or I always thought, foot pegs and things like that I would like, but I don't have the ability to do this at all. I touched it's actually getting sharp now. I'm not done sharpening it. There's a little ways to go on it, but when I first got this and I was feeling the blade, I asked him, I said, how did you get it so smooth? He said, with a hammer. I'm like, no, really? How did you get it so smooth with a hammer? I said, how did you do that with a hammer? He says, oh, I use my sweet hammer. I said, what's your sweet hammer? He goes, it's the one that I can get it smooth like that. I said, oh. Thanks for clearing that up. But isn't it nice when you, and it happens all along in our lives that we're going along and something happened that just kind of changes things. I felt like when I met him, and it was funny because, I don't want to, when I meet somebody, I don't want them to think, I don't want them to think I'm an idiot or something. So I didn't want to